What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now, I don't really know where this fits in. Today's a little bit different, but let's just say this is a segment of Make Every Death Count, which also, by the way, has a podcast format which you should check out, link in the description, specifically about this topic we are talking about today. If you're a big Scream fan, you probably already know this, but way back in 1997 when Kevin Williamson was writing the script for Scream 2, even then, the internet was a pain in the ass, and the original script, actually leaked online. This forced Kevin to go back and rewrite things, and it made it a completely different film. A lot of the things we see in the film we know and love is not how it originally was in the script. In fact, there are different characters, different character development entirely, different dialogue, different scenes, and more importantly, completely different killers. Now in this video I'm going to target some of the most exciting changes, things that I think are worth noting about that script and how it changed from getting to the actual movie. But if you're interested in seeing the script in its entirety, we've left a link in the description to a podcast where we read through the entire script and discuss some of the changes along the way, and also there's a link in the description to the script itself if you want to read it yourself. But let's dive in. Let's start first with Sidney Prescott. Sidney's a strong character that we know and love, who in Scream 2 is in a situation where she's very strong, confident, doesn't have the killer in the movie really affecting her so much. And one of the big things about Scream 2 is the fact that she is not interested in the whole sorority life. She follows her best friend Hallie and just kind of is there, but not actually interested in pledging whatsoever. In this script, it's not the same way. She is very much pledging. She is pledging and a part of it, and we even see scenes when she's at the party for Omega Phi that she is, bobbing for apples and drinking out of kegs and things like that. It really just feels wrong. It just kind of isn't how I like it a lot more in the movie compared to what the original script was. And I think although sorority girls tend to be very strong and independent, there's just something weird about Sidney being in that and kind of just following in line and answering to someone else, answering to members of the sorority. But regardless, it's there. And she's also a lot more reserved this time around. For example, she is much more willing to break compared to what she is in the original movie. Even the lines that she says to Hallie, like things like, I'm not glass, I'm not going to break. And she says, well, it's okay to break. That's still there. But it seems she's just a lot more comfortable doing so in the script. Now let's talk about Dewey. Now Dewey's character is quite a bit different. First of all, Dewey is, although it's kind of weird the way it's worded in the script because there's a lot of formatting errors and it seems like it was very rushed, it was a first draft, Dewey is just a security guard at Windsor College. So instead of showing up because he thought Sidney was in distress, he's actually there all the time and a security guard and ready and waiting for Sidney in case she's ever in trouble. Does he plan on staying at Windsor College once he graduates? I don't really know. I don't really get that whole motive in the first place. Like, you're just gonna keep following her everywhere she goes and picking up some, minimum wage security jobs along the way. I like the way it is in the movie a lot more there too. As for Gail, on the other hand, Gail actually starts off pretty cool in the script. You may remember in Scream 2 when Sidney's coming out of her room for the first time from her dormitory and she's just bombarded by press. Well, this is where Gail's actually introduced in the script, and Gail decks one of the reporters who are getting in Sidney's face. Kind of badass, okay? Gail coming out like that shows that there's some mutual respect there, but she kind of throws it all away when she does the same type of thing and throws Sidney and Cotton into an interview that doesn't really need to be there. So yeah, she still has that bitchy side to her, but she's introduced in a really cool way where she decks out a reporter and saves Sidney from this huge swamp of reporters. And yeah, it's just a cool callback to the first film, and I actually kind of would have liked to see that. Maybe it's a little out of character and kind of takes away from the whole Cotton and Gail and Sidney interview confrontation that there is in the movie, but it still was interesting and cool to see. On that note, in terms of Gail and her little cameraman, it's not Joel in the original script. Actually, Randy, old Randy Meeks, is Gail's cameraman now, which is interesting because he has to film the interview between Sidney and Cotton, and it causes an instant conflict between Randy and Sidney, and it's an interesting way to introduce it, but I also don't think Randy would ever do it. This guy is interested in film, we get that, but is he so desperate to be in that he wouldn't that he wouldn't just go study film. He's just going to take some cheap camera job as for the news, especially for Gale, who, and knowing that he loves Sydney, do you really think he would do that? It seems a little out of place, so I'm kind of glad they changed it, and he actually is a film student in the movie. That works a lot better. But don't worry, Joel is still in the script, but he's simply just a pre-med student, and he's literally just there to be a red herring. They target specific things like how the cuts on the victims were so precise that it had to be somebody of med, and Joel is a pre-med student, so he's just supposed to stand out as a red herring, but truly kind of a useless character, way better as a cameraman in the movie. I appreciate that a lot more. But now let's talk about some of your supporting casts. Let's start first by talking about the film scene in the film classroom where they discuss sequels. Really fun, really meta, and it's actually, if you see the deleted scene for Scream 2, it's much more similar to that, set in a theater seating situation. But in this script, Mickey is not your film guy, it's Derek. Derek is the film major, and it's pretty much like Mickey and Derek just completely swap places. The personality that we know of Mickey in Scream 2 in the movie is now Derek's in the script, and Mickey is much more like Derek. But also, Mickey and Hallie are actually dating. We see them flirt a little bit in the movie, but in this script, they're actually dating. So, your killer type vibe that we got from Mickey in Scream 2 goes to Derek, and Mickey and Hallie have this weird relationship thing going on. Which brings me to the cafeteria scene. Now, we remember Derek singing I Think I Love You. Instead, it is now Mickey singing to Hallie instead of Derek singing to Sydney. And instead of singing I Think I Love You, he's singing some Whitney Houston, which I can appreciate. It was fun to read, and it just feels kind of off, it being Mickey and Hallie, especially because they're not really characters that you care about as much. There was something, really heartfelt about. Some people hate it. I hear you. I know some people really think that's out of place and hate that scene, but I think it's pretty heartfelt. It's cute, and yeah, whatever. Derek singing to Sydney, but it just feels a little off in terms of this script. Now, I think one of the biggest changes, a change that I don't know if I like it or not, because knowing the movie the way it is now, it seems weird to me, but Cotton is kind of a complete asshole in the first script. So, first of all, the library scene. You remember it. Yeah, Cotton gets a little heated. He's a little upset that Sydney won't take this interview with Diane Sawyer, and it's frustrating him. And I can kind of at least understand that. I mean, you put him in prison for a year, but in the way he reacts in the script, the original script is a little bit different, because she apologizes like, listen, Cotton, I'm sorry every day. There's only so much I can do. And he says, well, there's one thing I do know about you. You're just like your cunt mother. It's like, you can't say that. He straight up calls Sydney and her mother a cunt, which is graphic and strong and intense, but it just, I don't know. I don't know if I like that more or if I like the way Cotton is now in the actual movie. But also, when the detectives come and stop him and, get him for yelling at Sydney in the library, they do find a gun on him, which does add a little bit to it, but maybe it makes him too much of a red herring. I don't know. But, yeah, that's just that they have a gun, and, he had a permit. He was legally carrying it, so it wasn't a crazy big deal. It was just the fact that he had it. Now, for the car scene, you may remember the car scene where the two detectives die, and it's Sydney and Hallie in the back seat. In this version of the scene, it's just Sydney, she's alone, and the same type of things happen, but not in the same way. It's just not having Hallie there. You kind of lose the connection that Sydney had, but that's really the only huge difference. The main difference actually comes after that scene, because instead of her going to the theater right away, she actually goes and finds Mickey tied up on a tree, and that's when she gets confronted by two different Ghostface. At that point, she runs, then she makes it to the theater, and we come to the big killer review. This part of the script, for at least the one we read, was completely fucked up, and it made the killer reveal wrong, and it originally sounded like Dewey was the killer. We're like, what? And it made him seem like he was gay and had a relationship with Derek, and it was interesting, but it was all just a mess up. Actually, the killers in the original script are Derek and Hallie. Derek is cheating on Sydney, Hallie cheating on Mickey. They come together and plan this whole thing out. Debbie Salt, don't worry, Debbie Salt and Mrs. Loomis, that was still in the original script, and she is the third killer. She basically is using Derek and Hallie like she uses Mickey in the movie. But yeah, just straight up sets up Derek and Hallie, kills them off, shoots them, but then Cotton comes and saves the day as Debbie Salt / Mrs. Loomis is having her little confrontation with Sydney. Cotton comes, saves the day, and kills her. But unlike the movie, it doesn't end there. In the movie, you may recall Cotton be like, "Listen, Sid, I'd never do anything to hurt you," etc. Not so much here. Cotton goes fucking full cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as you may know, and he straight up starts threatening to kill him and is going to kill Sydney. They go toe-to-toe, and the script kind of just falls off there. So basically, in this one, there's 4 killers, okay? You have Derek and Hallie, who were being used by Mrs. Loomis to make all these killings, but then Cotton takes advantage of the situation, kills Mrs. Loomis, and Cotton's like, well, this is my time, I might as well kill you too and get away with it and be a big star, and it's kind of insane. But this, like I said, the script kind of just randomly ends there because Kevin wasn't quite done with it before it leaked. But he did leave a final note that I imagine went directly to Wes, which reads as is. And that's as far as I've gotten. What happens is Sid and Cotton fight to the finish. He chases her through hanging flats, then down the sky rail back to the stage. Sid finds a knife and stabs Cotton. He stabs her back. They fight, continuing to stab each other until they both drop center stage. They lay next to each other, neither able to move, their eyes slowly close. The end. That's kind of crazy, right? Like the fact that, first of all, the catwalk fight would be cool as hell. Seeing them up on the rafters like that and going toe-to-toe. But the fact that they actually were ballsy enough to straight up kill Sydney off is crazy. And then the way that Dewey was, like, sorta has a death scene in Scream 2, but he ends up finding out that he lives in the end. In the script, we never get that relief. So Dewey seems very much dead. And then Debbie Salt shot Gail, and she seems very much dead. So your entire cast is killed off. This was meant to be one sequel and done. And that's pretty ballsy. I respect that, and I really would love to see it in action and see what it'd play out like and just see how audiences would respond. I don't think it actually happened, considering, you know, Dimension Films and Weinstein and all of them. They knew what they had. They knew this was a franchise that can make a lot of money, and it sure as hell did. So they probably would have changed the script regardless of this script being leaked online. But yeah, it'd be crazy if this never did leak, if the internet wasn't a thing and had to ruin things, you know? Where would Scream 2 be today, and what would that spawn for Scream 3? Would Kevin still have wrote Scream 3? I'm just curious. I'm just curious what would change, what butterfly effect would it cause if we saw this movie instead of the movie we have today. But let me know your thoughts, comments below. Do you like it? Do you like Cotton being a dick? Do you like the cast being entirely killed off? Or maybe Hallie and Derek more as a killer? Let me know in the comments below. But that's the wrap of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I was super excited about doing this one. Scream 2 is really cool, and I've heard about this for years, so I always wanted to actually read it, and now I have. Again, if you want to hear the entire script as we read through the whole goddamn thing, check out our podcast, link in the description to Make Every Death Count, the audio-only version. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one, and we'll see you next time.